And joining me in Studio B for one of his final monthly visits, Bakersfield Police Chief Greg Terry. We're getting close.
We are. Good morning.
Are you counting down? Is this the counting down time to retirement?
It's getting close. Yes, I'm starting to count the
You don't
days.
have the days, though, memorized.
At the end of April.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, not a specific day. Let's begin, first of all, with the military, the U.S.-Iran military strikes that are going on right now. And we always sort of ask this with local law enforcement and whatnot, of what type of briefings you'd normally get from federal agencies, and if something like this would be included.
Yeah, we periodically receive information from the federal government. The FBI specifically will send out informational or intelligence briefings. They actually send them out quite often, just to raise our level of awareness or general awareness of things that are going on nationally, perhaps at the state level. And then more specifically, we'll sometimes get information about something more local. With regarding to this Iran issue, we've not received any specific information about anything here locally. But again, it is the types of information is shared quite often across the country and across the state.
Taking a look at some of the things that are happening around Bakersfield and whatnot, one of the things that sort of jumped out recently was that triple shooting in one day in different areas. Any update on that case?
No update yet. Obviously, it involved a homicide and two shooting victims. And we did have 3 shootings within about 20 minutes at 3 different locations. It is an unusual event, thankfully, but it was the investigation at this point indicates that it was all related to a narcotics transaction, and all of the people involved were involved in that initial transaction. It just began to spread as whatever occurred. So thankfully, it wasn't a rolling gun battle or anything like that, and everyone involved or everyone injured by it was specifically involved in that initial deal.
How difficult is it when you're dealing with something like that? I mean, in this situation, when social media comes into play and things start flying out there about allegations and things that are happening, specifically the one victim that was found near Golden Valley High School?
Yeah. Well, the information certainly spreads much more rapidly than it used to, and the misinformation or even real information can create a lot of fear, and that causes people to begin to react. And the reality is it occurs the frequency or the speed of the information spreads more quickly than we can get to locations and find out what is going on. So it can present a real challenge for us.
Another story that seems to be getting a lot of traction has been some of the citations written for the Casa Loma swap meets out there.
Yeah.
Can you sort of explain a little bit more on what's going on with that?
Yeah, this has kind of been going on for quite some time. And if you've seen the photos, it's a large event. And it is kind of on the city-county line, and so it involves both jurisdictions that we've been trying to work together to resolve this. We're certainly not trying to stand in the way of people making a living or any of those kinds of things, but the size of this and the location specifically create tremendous traffic hazards. It imposes on people's private property. There's trespassing violations that have occurred and the large amount of trash when this is over as well. So it's really a kind of a compounding issue that is creating quite the safety and quality of life issue out there. And so we've received a lot of complaints from the residents. I know the City Council has, I know the Board of Supervisors have. So us and the county have been working very closely together. Our Community Vitality Unit has really taken the lead for us.
Okay.
They were out there about 2 weeks ago, and the number of citations, the number of vendors had reduced. But we're continuing to try to communicate with these individuals. The city will be hosting and reaching out specifically to street vendors, helping them get into compliance with the city regulations, the county regulations, but also informing them of what they can do and where they can do it in order to resolve this particular issue.
And you covered it very, very well. The interaction between the impact team and the vendors, what has that been like?
It's really good. We've really been focused on education first and enforcement second. I mean, it works best when we're able to work together and educate people on what the issues are. If people persist in violating the law, then we're going to take enforcement action. But we've really tried to educate them first. And the Community Vitality Unit has done a really good job reaching out to the vendors. And again, they were out there, I think, 2 weeks ago and had to issue some additional citations. So we're going to keep after it to resolve that issue. Not just because of what the issue is, but because it's impacting our local residents so significantly.
One thing that happened since your last visit, there, speaking of social media, was that explosive 911 dispatch video on TikTok. The department really dug deep to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah, we had to. When the post was made, certainly we were alerted to it. but based on the information that was there, we weren't sure whether it was the Bakersfield Police Department, whether it was some other agency. There are 11 or 12 other cities in close proximity to us, and a lot of times it's generally referred to as Bakersfield, but it may not be us at all. And so it took quite a bit of digging and looking around and trying to get information for us to figure out what that post was about.
Did you find it strange that it was 5 years ago?
Yeah, it was a little surprising, yes. Certainly in the context of what was initially said, we were thinking, did this happen yesterday, today, or when? So yeah, we were a little surprised that it had occurred 5 years earlier.
And when it comes to that sort of thing, I sort of jokingly during the break was saying you must have a social media investigation team that dives into this, and you do.
Yeah, we do have staff that in a public affairs office that are paying attention to social media and posting, and that is a lot of their main job is to education and share information with their community, because our approach has been a partnership. We talk about it a lot, talk about it being a shared responsibility, and a lot of that really is about communication. And so we've tried to improve the frequency, the content, the consistency, the way that we communicate with the community and trying to engage them and reach them. And so we do have people that are paying attention.
You had a street racing joint operation not long ago since your last visit with a number of arrests, citations, and impounds with that. Surprised?
By the volume of them?
By the volume?
No, not really. Based on the time of day, I mean, this was in the late evening on the weekend. We know that this type of activity occurs, and you don't really have to drive too far on the weekend nights across our city to find people driving this way that is so dangerous and so unnecessary. And so, we have good working relationship with the CHP, and we're able to put together an operation not too long after we had that initial street takeover type of event involving hundreds of vehicles just a few weeks ago. And so these things we'll do periodically, and we'll continue to do them in order to try to keep the roadways safe.
Has there been any word of another planned takeover event like the video we were just looking at?
No, but they often just pop up, and one of the things that we would want the community to know is when they pop up, tell us about it, but also recognize that they involve 300, 400, 500 vehicles at times. And so in order for us to marshal the resources, it takes us a little bit of time to get out there and resolve the issue, but have no doubt that we will send the resources and work to resolve the issue.
And finally, I want to touch on this, the motor competition this Saturday. It's always very popular. People go out and watch the motorcycles, try to weave in between. I'm amazed every time I watch them do that.
I am too. It's coming up.
So you're not going to be doing it?
No, I am not. But no, I am so amazed at the skills that these officers have. They enjoy it. It certainly is an entertaining event. I hope the public comes out. But I'm so appreciative of how much time that they invest into this skill, and it is an amazing skill that they've developed in service to the community.
It is shocking too, considering the motor unit was pretty much gone.
Yeah, it wasn't
just not that long ago.
It wasn't about 5, 6 years ago. We were down to 1 or 2 motors, and now I think we're back at 19 and able to provide some speed enforcement and just a variety of other kinds of activities and services to the community. But these are amazing men and women, and I hope the public comes out to see them and support them.
Chief Greg Terry, thanks for coming in and sharing your thoughts one more time next month before it's someone else sitting in this chair.
That's right.
We'll be right back.